It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppet Show tonight.
Hello, sweet peas. This is the long-awaited, many have asked for, highly requested nursery tour. We do have a little assistant who will be giving little input. Yeah. We are like 99% done. There's a couple of things that you'll see that are not done.
Well, yeah, done.
I mean, well, you'll see.
Is a room ever done?
That's true. If you're new here, my name is Morgan. My pronouns are she, her.
My name is Felix. My pronouns, I don't know. They, them is always correct.
Yeah.
He, him is also fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're mommy and daddy to our baby.
Yes.
He lives in this room. We did, like most people, sleep in the same room as our baby for like 6 months. And then we transitioned to him sleeping in his room. And Felix did most of the work. I would say 95% of the work in this room.
Yeah.
Because I was, pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anybody's like, oh, you really slacked on that one.
No. A lot of handmade crafts. So if you're looking for like DIY inspiration, we got you. If you're looking for, wow, I would love to have a clean room in my house. Have a nursery. It's clean pretty often. Because we don't spend a lot of time in here besides sleep time.
It was cleaner before he lived in here.
That's true.
I would say it's not.
Well, it was kind of a storage room for a while, so.
Oh, no. I mean, as we were anticipating him,
Yeah.
that was the cleanest this room. And then when the first 4 months, that was the cleanest this room was because he wasn't in it.
Yeah. Nobody was.
No.
And now we love it. I mean, we loved it the whole time. Yeah. Anyway, let's get started.
This is a height tracker for the baby. I believe that we got this in the mail from a sweet pea who said that it was really cool. I mean, it is really cool. It's great. We had one that we had planned on using, and then so this one's even better. This is incredible. We are a family that loves hot air balloons, so a need. Crucial. This up here is from Chet and Dot. It was a baby shower gift from our sweet friend Lemon. Lemon and Nick, who own Sunny's house. I don't know if you can still buy these at Sunny's house. It does turn on. We don't use it for that purpose, but the cheeks glow and it's really cute. This is the light switch. I made it at the Create a Memory here locally. I put way too much paint on the eyeballs of Blinky or whatever his name is. Twinkie? Lenny. It's Lenny. And I probably need to cover it up with some more sealant. But other than that, I feel like it turned out really cute. Oh, eyeballs on the alien also. I really just piled it on there. Sometimes the paint explodes. These are the pennants that I made out of felt. They just have little Velcro command strips on the back. They were really fun to make. I would say my favorite aspect out of all of them is the little tiny mouse from Goodnight Moon is a part of the stitches around the edge of this one. I had a lot of fun doing that one. And then the Very Hungry Caterpillar I would say was probably the most popular one of the ones that I made. Everybody really wanted that one. And then I love Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, and it's funny now because I'm obsessed with Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, and I don't feel like it's a super well-known. You don't think so?
It was really popular when I was growing up with like kids I knew.
It was very popular in my house, and then now it's when I was a kiddo, and now it's super popular with our baby, which is really funny. Yeah, I would say Morgan and I know Chicka Chicka Boom Boom by heart, and we read it like 3 times a day each, probably. Goodnight Moon was the hardest. I will not be selling any of these. It's not something that I'm able to do because they're all copyrighted, so it's just not possible to do that. There's no one. I don't know how long they took. If I had to guess, I would say between like 3 hours and like 8 hours each, but over the course of a few days. The other thing is that our job is super weird, so I just decided that my job that week was making these. And then making content about it and then putting out that content. Being content creators, our job is very busy but super flexible in what we decide we want to do. It's why I've been able to do so much community organizing stuff. Not organizing, but like community care, advocating things recently. Because I've just decided that's the content that we'll be making right now. So anyway, this was at a time where people kept on being like, how do you have all of this free time? You go to your 9 to 5 and then you do this, and it's like, no, like this is my 9 to 5, just doing these. So don't ever feel bad if you're like, there's a bunch of stuff that I made in this Nursery, and I had a really great time doing it. Morgan was really adamant that this not get painted. I do think that she made the right choice on that. I wanted to make it obnoxious. These are baby sleep bags. We have a thick one and then a thin one, and we use them just depending on what jammies baby has on underneath. Oh, we did thrift them. Yeah, sleep bags are stupid expensive for like no good reason. This is not, as far as I understand, a particularly complicated piece of fabric with like a zipper. Yeah, it's funny that they're both pink. That wasn't on purpose. They're just the ones in terms of like the clothing that we put the baby in. We're trying to sort of have a expression, creative, anything. I feel like sometimes people have baby boys, which, I mean, you know, we don't know, it doesn't really matter. And then they are like, yeah, if my son wanted to wear a tutu, I wouldn't care. Or if my son wanted to wear pink flowers, that wouldn't bother me. But I feel like if your kid never wears pink flowers their entire childhood up until they're like 4 and they're deciding what they're gonna wear, I feel like they didn't necessarily have the option to gravitate towards that because it wasn't like normalized as something that they would wear. So yeah, my favorite like sleeper that he has that I think recently grew out of, but it was cheetah print, and we called it his Cheetah Girl sleeper. It was very cute. These are a couple of hats that are really cute. They do not fit yet, so they are just here for fashion.
This is a silhouette that Auntie Hanny got of the baby when she was in Disney World. I love it so much. I would have bought one anyway the next time we were there, but that could be years from now, so I'm glad we have one of him as a baby. They did it off of just a picture, which is really cool. This is a shelf that we thrifted way before we were pregnant. I've always wanted a Toy Story nursery. I can talk about that a little bit more at the end. But we painted it red, kind of similar to like the Luxo ball was the energy. And then Felix got these Bugs Life Beanie Babies like years ago during their college program. And they're not Toy Story, but I think the nice thing about having like a Toy Story Andy's Room themed room is he just has like children's bedroom theme. Which is why like the pencil works really well. A lot of the stuff that we have in here that isn't necessarily directly from Andy's room works. These hungry little caterpillar felted pieces of art were actually sent by a sweet pea. And in their letter they were like, I don't know if you'll like use these, but I think they're cute. And we put them on top of these other pieces of art that we actually got from doing a collab. My only complaint about these lowly worm alphabet art pieces is that the alphabet isn't in order, which I think was an interesting choice considering it's art of the alphabet. It's also almost in order, which I feel is actually even more confusing than if they had just kind of jumbled it up like they do with Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. So that is strange.
I have spent so much time staring at these, and if you look at them, they could have just swapped them.
Yeah.
It's in fact bananas that they did it out of order. If for a child's bedroom, that's not fair.
No.
That's not fair to him.
That's
to
confusing.
be looking at the alphabet and to be like A, C, D, B, H, E, F, G, I, L, M, J, K, P, N, O, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
So some of
That's
them
bananas.
were allowed to be in order.
The whole last part.
Yeah, it's very strange. The bookcase we get a lot of questions about. I did not anticipate it being such a hit. It's originally from Pottery Barn a couple of years ago, if you want to find your own. We got it on Facebook Marketplace for $40. I drove 3 hours there, 3 hours back to get it for Felix for their birthday. Coincidentally, a month before we got pregnant. No idea that was going to be the case. We painted it. Felix mostly painted it. I helped a little. Because the colors that it was like a cream. When there's cream next to things that have like white, I feel like it just looks so dirty and dingy. So we painted this actually white, and then we painted the blue, the accents that were like a sage green, the same blue that we painted the dresser, which actually Felix picked out, and I thought it was a bad call, and I was wrong. Once we were in here, I was like, that was the right call. That blue was a good blue. This bedroom has 2 closets. It's also, it's really small. When we were finding out we were moving into this house, which we're obsessed with, I was like, oh, like it's gonna be really interesting to figure out how we're gonna fit so many things into one room. And it's worked out perfectly. And I'm really glad that it has 2 closets. I didn't think that I would feel that way. But what I did is I have like different bins for different sizes of baby clothes. And I have just basically pulled out the next bin every time he is sized up, and it has been a game changer. It was a lot of work in my like last trimester to thrift or buy that many bins to separate it that way. but it has really saved me time in this part of parenting. So if you have the time while you're pregnant to do that, big life hack. So now these are 24-month clothes that he'll be getting into soon. These are the pieces we need to turn the full-size crib into a toddler bed eventually. Hanging up, we have some things that are like way too big for him. I'm talking like ages 5, 6, 7. And then we have a lot of like costume pieces because eventually we're gonna have like a dress-up costume box as a present when he's like 2 or 3. On the other side of this closet is where we keep all of our suitcases. Eventually, it will not be where we keep all of our suitcases, but they fit here, and he doesn't need that much closet space right now, so. And then we have some stuff from my childhood and a bunch of like random extra linens because, again, he doesn't need 2 closets right now. We got this glider as part of a collab. I love it so much. People talked all the time about like, oh, you need a really good glider in your nursery. They were right. I'm so glad we have a really good glider. We spend a lot of time in it. We didn't so much when we weren't spending any time in this room at all. But now we use it for every nap, every before bed. Super glad that we have it. The feet do kick out. It's just like a secret thing. And then the only other thing that I would recommend is having a pillow to prop up your arm. Really good. Our rocking chair that's in the living room has like these movable armrests. I do wish that this had that, but I don't think it would have the same look, and I really like the way that it looks. This is not really part of the theme, more of a functional choice. We thrifted this young man 5, 6 years ago. He's supposed to hold a candle or like a vase, I think, if you have a home that no other people or animals live in. Because he is not stable at all. You shouldn't put anything liquid on him, I would say, or breakable. But
as we put bottles that are glass on him.
Yeah, well, you know. But we put it here and we set the bottles and usually our phones on it while we're getting someone to sleep.
And my glasses.
Oh yeah, a lot of daddy's glasses. This closet is like diapers and wipes and then also like just a bunch of stuff that he's not big enough for. So this bathtub that I swore that we needed, we haven't used yet. A lot of people said that. I am excited to use it. I think we will less as a bathtub and more as like a sensory water experience because it is really nice to bathe him at like sink height. I have seen the video about how some babies get salmonella from bathing in the sink. We don't eat meat downstairs, so I'm not super worried about that. We also clean the sink very regularly. On the other side, same thing. It's a bunch of toys he's not old enough for. A lot of future presents because we do this thing where we buy presents for him basically all year because we thrift them. So as we see them, we find them. We put them in the closet. It seems like a good system until he's old enough to look in there by himself. We do need to buy the baby-proofing, like things that keep the doors from sliding. We haven't done that yet because he can't get out of his crib. He's too small.
I made this godforsaken friendship bracelet. It took so long. It is so much heavier than you can possibly imagine. It's so heavy, it's unhinged. It's got, what did I even put this on? Oh, it's on wire. Oh my god, it's on wire, and then I put nails in the stupid wall. And then I used wire to wrap around the nails. This is, I would say, the least children-friendly item we have in here. It is very secure on this wall. But it did make my fingers bleed like 6 times. I kept on stabbing myself with the wire, so it was awful. And then also, you can't as like one person, this is probably, I don't know, not like 20 pounds, maybe like 15 pounds, maybe like 20 pounds. But you can't do it, like put it up as one person either. It was awful. I do understand now why the Swifties just used styrofoam to make these letter things, because mine are covered in air dry clay. A lot of people were like, the air dry clay is gonna break down in 6 months and like crack and fall off and the pieces of it. I've owned a few air dry clay things and I've made some and I haven't had that problem before. These are also sealed really good with a sealant. And then this part is, these are ball pit balls, which before you buy ball pit balls on Amazon, I would say check your Facebook Marketplace and check your thrift store and just any place that has secondhand anything for a little bit before you do that, because there's so many of them. It's like Shein cardigans. It's like you don't need to buy it. There's probably one at your Goodwill. They've made too many of them. this really cool guy, somebody sent us these incredible perler bead Toy Story things. They're one of my favorite things in this room. Also, the baby loves to stare at them. They were on a ribbon to be a garland, but we already had sort of a garland. We already had sort of a garland item that was going to be happening. So I made the executive decision to cut them off of the garland and put them on this. This is a piece of art from a thrift store. This is a plastic frame, and then it had a canvas something, and this was like white with like weird ugly flowers on it. Anyway, I spray painted both of these. So this is just dark blue spray paint and then green spray paint. And then I hot glued these down, and it worked out great. These are shelves that I also spray painted. They're also thrifted. The toys Morgan collected over many, many years for the Toy Story Nursery. That's been the plan for a million years. She didn't pay full price for any of them. When you work at a Disney park, you get this like secret access to a store where they sell you things that are worse. Either like the packaging is messed up, or Woody doesn't have a hat, or there's like something that's like a little bit like weird about it, so they don't want to sell that one. It's called Cast Connection, at least in Disney World. I don't know what it's called in land, but anyway. So she got these, and then the alien's a popcorn bucket, I believe. But yeah, I feel like they look really cute up there. It is kind of funny because like, I mean, he will be able to play with them eventually in the future, but right now they're just like unobtainable, fun-looking items that he can't have, which is sort of silly. I painted these monkeys. Well, I painted these walls also. Yeah. That was a whole ordeal.
Took like a month.
Took a long period of time. Did we do a YouTube video that had anything to do with that at the
Yes. We did a lot of, like, while we were building it.
No, but like, was it a YouTube video or was it just TikToks? That's what I'm saying.
I have no idea.
Anyway, yeah, so this room was ugly beige. We painted it blue, and then I made it's so silly, but Andy's room in Toy Story, there is not like a good pattern for how the clouds go. It's very obvious that like the little clouds are on a different sort of like plane of existence from the big clouds in the way that that it like repeats. Does that make sense? I'm sure Morgan will be able to put in something here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. That I wasn't gonna do that. I decided to make the big cloud and the little cloud as part of one stencil. And then, yeah, it was a lot because also you have to paint multiple layers of the white. And we did one wall and we were like, wow, it's so cute, we have to do all of the walls. We also made the executive decision, I wasn't sure if I was gonna hate it or not, but we decided that on the corners, we were gonna pretend that it was like wallpaper and just cut it off. And be like, okay, and this is where that stops, instead of trying to continue it over onto the other side, because then it would have like thrown off. It would just be way more complicated to have to put, does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So anyway, the clouds, they were a journey. The monkeys, significantly easier. You can't really tell now, but each of the like details on them, I took a little bit of their like main wall paint color and a little bit of white paint. I think it was the white from the clouds actually, to make it like a light whatever. A bunch of people were like, you should have put top surgery scars on the monkeys, which is really funny because I was fairly certain this was what my top surgery scars were gonna look like, and it is how they look. Because I wasn't gonna put nipples on the monkeys. That would be obscene. Not that it's obscene to have nipples, but it is. Like, the monkeys don't need nipples. And then also, the monkeys, if you've seen, like, the Barrel of Monkeys, they are scarier than you remember in a big way. So I kind of tried to pair them. I did sort of a simplification of them that I think works well for this little teeny tiny portion of mural. I had big dreams about putting, like, a barrel up there for them to, like, be coming out of the barrel. That just didn't happen, and I do think also that it would be, like, too much, kind of, for us to have that also. Oh, our diaper pail. We have the Ubi. It's fine. It's not great. I think any diaper pail is not perfect. It is stinky when you open it up. We do have, like, baking soda in the bottom of it. I don't know that there's a perfect system for diapers. We do have to change it probably less often than folks who exclusively use disposable diapers. I will say I feel like cloth diapers, in our experience with our wash routine, significantly less stinky than disposables. And it's because like the disposables, like they sit and are stinky for a couple of days. You get rid of the stinks pretty immediately with the cloth, so it's kind of like, what are you gonna do? Don't put one of these. Don't use one of these. The baby will use it to stand.
Well, now if you did it it wasn't right next to your changing table, maybe that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, don't put it in a place where the baby can grab it because he uses it to stand and it makes me so nervous. So this will probably either be removed or significantly reinforced because right now I'm afraid that the baby's gonna pull it out of the wall, which doesn't really make sense, but it is a fear that I have and it is something that's a problem. This is the baby mobile. Had a lot of fun making this. We were like 4 days pregnant when I started making this. Yeah, it is in the medium of acrylic felt, which is my most classic medium if you're familiar with my crafting process. And then I was inspired by a mobile that I saw where they were like flowers that were the tops of the flowers were facing down, like the stems. They were hanging by their stems, and I think they were felt actually. And I was like, oh, that's so smart so the baby can see it. So then for this, I wanted it to be viewable from underneath by baby with the main part of it. So all the characters, that's why they're kind of like hanging in this way. And then I am not like a real big three-dimensional crafter. Usually if I'm doing felt things, they're kind of like patches or like two-dimensional. So for these, I didn't want to make like Ham's butt or like the back of like the feet on Wheezy or like the back of the outfit on the alien. So anyway, they're kind of like, I made them puffy and then I just gave them sort of like one color on their back because it doesn't really matter. And if I had gone all out, then they would look different than they do now, but it was already kind of hard to make them so cute and so small. And then yeah, these are just some little like stars that I made that I thought were fun, and then the Toy Story clouds again. Yeah, and our plan was to have it over the crib. Hilariously, when when there was a group of folks who were like, that's not safe crib sleeping for a baby, I was like, that seems a little bit dramatic. And now that we have a Reachy baby, I'm like, oh yeah, I would hate to have this over his crib. So
we would have moved it. I personally don't think it's unsafe when they're really small, but it would have been a pain to have to move it.
Yes.
To probably over here, so
Yes.
I think it was a really smart idea to put it by the diaper.
Yeah,
because he's never on the changing table by himself.
No, somebody suggested we put it on the changing table, and now it's great because as he's getting changed, it's like we just like spin it and it's good. Shout out to Morgan's brother who made this string longer by getting another string. It was before this up way too high for us to reach, and so I was taking a grabby hand in my sleep deprived state and smacking the mobile to try to get it to spin a little bit. And Morgan's very sweet brother Colin was like, yeah, you just make it lower. And I was like, Colin, I would have never thought of that, not in a million years, with my oatmeal mush brain. This is the Hemnes from IKEA. It has more pieces than you can possibly imagine. I made a whole TikTok about it that went a little bit viral because people were like, you're so stupid for buying. Okay, here's what really grinds my gears. It's that so many people are like, you idiot. They have these on Facebook Marketplace all the time. As if we did not spend quite literally 9 months scouring Facebook Marketplace for one of these already built.
I had been looking for it on Facebook
longer.
Marketplace for so long. The entire time we were on our fertility journey, because I knew this is what I wanted, and I knew it was kind of expensive.
Yes.
And I wanted to try and find it secondhand.
Like 2 years plus 9 months.
And I couldn't find it anywhere. I kept finding it in Portland.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm not driving all the way to Portland where the IKEA is anyway.
It's also 1,000 pounds. It's not 1,000 pounds.
No, but it is probably like...
It's hefty.
60 pounds?
It's hefty. We did get the glass top for it, which I think is very worth it. Although there is some like stuff underneath it. Like we do need to, I think, take the glass top off to wash underneath it. I would say the glass top is a good investment. This is, I think, the only thing that we purchased new for the nursery. The nursery, out of all of every room in our house, has the most new items. But it does not have. It also has a lot of thrifted things.
Literally the only new furniture items are the glider,
The crib.
the crib, and this, and the diaper pail.
Yes. Everything else is
And we
thrifted.
collabed, like we worked for glider, we worked for crib.
We worked in exchange for crib, and then we worked for payment and for glider, which is great. People ask about these knobs a lot. I cannot recommend them to you less. We got them. It was a weird Amazon listing. One came broken and I had to glue it. They are unhinged, varying lengths, so some of these have like a butt ton of washers on the back to try to like make because they like the screw part glues into this like porcelain whatever thingy. They're really cute. They're not good. They're really bad, so I wouldn't say get them. They're not gonna like shatter at any given moment or anything. But yeah, they're not great. And the one that's glued, it's like glued very securely, and it was cracked in a weird place that I don't think is gonna be relevant to like the baby trying to open it. But yeah, we need to get baby proofing. The dresser is a changing table. This little like changing pad we got when we got the crib for free, and it's really good. We used to put the cover on it, but it's made out of like very wipeable material. I feel like it doesn't really need the cover. I feel like it's kind of more functional without the cover on it, but it sort of depends on what kind of messes your baby's making, because early on when there's a lot of much more liquidy mess going on that you would need to sort of sop up a little bit, the fabric did that for you, which was great. And so now I feel like it's less that way and it works well.
Okay. I'm going to show you how we have things organized. This was people really want this in short form, but I feel like it's not possible because I have too much to say. In here we keep diapers. We're obviously kind of running low. We usually keep disposables in the back and reusables up front. Right now, all the reusables are being washed, so we only have like these 7 diapers. Then in here, and basically the rest also across the top, is stuff we don't use as often. It's not like daily use stuff. This is like baby fingernail clippers, like diaper rash spray. This is the stuff we use to remove stains. It works super well. It also, like, you don't have to be a parent or have a baby to use it. So if you want to buy some of this and just keep it in your luggage or your purse, you should. These are like little earmuffs for when we go see Uncle Nick's band. And then these are like pacifier things, thermometer, stuff like that. This third one is all burp cloths. We don't use burp cloths as much now that we're a little bit older. These are also bibs, but we still use them occasionally, so they're still in a drawer. And then hats, socks, these are the things that go on the changing table that we don't use anymore. Like accessories for an outfit are in here. Over on the bottom right, this is where we keep all our blankets. We have a lot of blankets. People send us some and we use them to make like blanket forts. We use them to go outside. It's nice that we can like wash them and still have like a ton left. So we may eventually get rid of some, but right now it's kind of nice to have a bunch. This one's pretty empty. It's shoes. And we've got more room for other things. It's also where I was keeping things like puppy pads or like extra diapers so that I didn't have to go all the way to the closet. But that was more like for newborn times, and now I don't so much need those quickly. Okay, all the way on the bottom left. Organize yours however you want. I really like the way that we've done ours. So these are like full outfits, like top and bottoms that match. This middle one is just overalls, just because like they're not bottoms, you know what I mean? They're overalls, they're their own thing. Over here is all sleepers. If you look at the dresser, the bottom row is a little bit taller than the middle row. And we have a lot of sleepers, so that is why those needed to go in the bottom, even though they're kind of like the most common thing we reach for. And then in the middle drawer, we have just like onesies / loose like tops, and then loose bottoms. So like these don't necessarily coordinate with anything in particular. You can mix and match them, or obviously you can mix and match them with anything below. These divider things I got on Amazon. Obviously, you know, we're not buying stuff from Amazon right now, but, you know, a year and a half ago or whatever, that was when I got them. I still have a bunch of extras in my closet, and I use them for so many things randomly. And then over here on the side of the changing table, we have diaper cream. We also have the spatula, but it fell on the ground right before I started recording. This is a wipe warmer. It is not currently plugged in. We don't use it as a wipe warmer. We put the wipes in here because it's really nice to have something, it's not going to do it because we're basically almost out, but it's really nice to have something where you can make sure you only pull out one wipe at a time. And so we used it as a wipe warmer the first like 3 months, but you have to keep like refilling water in it basically to make sure it doesn't get like too dry. And that was just kind of a hassle and annoying. So we continue to use it because I love that it separates out the wipes, and that is worth it to me. What I would do if you were considering getting one is you can thrift one for sure. We got one new because a Sweet Pea bought it off of our registry. But if they hadn't, I do think we would have gotten one secondhand and probably come to the same conclusion. We also have a cold water humidifier because it's very dry sometimes. And then we have the Hatch. This was also gifted to us by Muppet Marissa. We have a Hatch in our room. I love it so much. I have heard with the newer Hatches, you have to pay for a subscription, which I would not do. I would look on Facebook Marketplace or Once Upon a Child or something to find one secondhand because I do really love it so much for many reasons. But I would not pay a subscription or pay that much for it. Like, you can get a sound machine that works just as well. That isn't as expensive, I'm sure. Also, this isn't up all the time, but we like to put little window clings up for different holidays. Felix's parents did this when they were a little kid, and I love the idea. I also really like window clings because you can use them many times. And we just, like, pack them up on foil and put them away till the next year. And we have a place where we like keep all the window clings so we know where they are. People also ask about our light a lot. We thrifted this for $3 from the Habitat for Humanity. It is originally from IKEA though, so you can definitely find it online. My only caveat, it doesn't bother me, but something you should know, is that it does make the room, like this is a very blue room. What you're seeing now is closer to what it looks like in real life. But when you turn on the light, it obviously gets like a little bit more yellow, which makes sense.
This clock is the bane of my existence. It's mostly made of like thrifted recycled materials, which is really nice. Not the main part. The actual like clock, which does work, was a $2 IKEA clock, one of those like plastic ones. And then the Mickey Mouse on the inside, I literally just printed on printer paper out an image of Mickey Mouse and cut it and then put it on these little thingies. Yeah, this was hellacious to make. This was really bad. The fabric-y looking part that is over the top of styrofoam is from a thrift store. I think they're supposed to be like table runners and table mats, so it's like most of a table runner. I thought that this looked sort of watch band-ish, kind of like the woven vibe to it. And then the top part that is like the clasp, that is a cut up pleather jacket that was very small, actually. Not like children's size, but like it was like an extra small. So yeah, that's that, and also styrofoam. Yeah, the styrofoam makes it blockier than I wanted it to be. I think if I was going to do this again and money was no object, I would use like the not floral foam, but like the puffier than that foam, and like find a way to like sculpt it a little bit better because I don't love the way that the clasp looks. I would much rather it be rounded and look like harder and plasticier and whatever. And we weren't really on a time crunch for this, but I did lose my mind making it. It took me probably like 10 hours over like 2 days if I had to guess. Yeah, it was just awful. Mostly styrofoam. It's kind of intended to like live on this wall and then not be taken down, and when it is taken down to kind of be like disassembled. It's not super flimsy or anything, but I don't think it would survive, for instance, a car ride with other items. Does that make sense? This was something that was made to be very like visual and fun, because in Andy's room there's a clock that's like this, if you don't know. And they sell them, okay, so that, yeah, they sell them like the Swatch, the giant Swatch watches, and they're between like $400 and like $1,000, like $1,200, depending on like the kind that you want and what you are looking for. I don't think they have this exact one. I don't think it exists. But yeah, I didn't want to spend, I mean, that would be absurd to spend that much money. I'm not looking for like a collector's item. I was looking for something that would be like cute in my baby's room, that would be an analog clock, that would be functional-ish and look striking and cutesy and bring in like another blue tone. There ended up being a lot of blue in this room. It was before we knew that the baby was going to be assigned male at birth, and also this room would have looked like this regardless. I feel like it's mostly just bright colors, but I like that we have this kind of more like, not indigo blue, but like darker, like electric blue. So this is the clock, and then this is also styrofoam that I cut, and then this is a water bottle cap that I covered in the fabric, the jacket fabric. There's a lot of hot glue also. This one probably took the longest and also drove me absolutely insane. Yeah, drove me bananas. The band is made out of that styrofoam that comes kind of in those like skinny sheets that's like in between. I think it was literally for the hemnes is like where the styrofoam was at. And if you don't know, it's just like really hard to cut that without it cracking or doing something like weird and ugly. So I had to like cut these like holes, and then I ended up gluing the fabric and then cutting the fabric and then like dark blue painting on the inside of these so you couldn't tell because I didn't have quite enough for it to like go, the fabric to like stay nicely on the inside of this, because that's the other thing is like how do you hot glue. Anyway, if you are local, you should hire me as a set designer because I can make really fun stuff, but again, this is not intended for long term. It would be fine on a wall for many years, but it's not intended to be taken down and put somewhere else so much.
Okay, lastly, people have a lot of questions, thoughts, feelings about the crib that we have. We, full disclosure, got crib for free in exchange for work. It is the Nestig Wave Crib. I'm sure you've seen other influencers have it. It converts from a mini crib to a full-size crib with like all 3 levels to a toddler bed. Not that many cribs that I found that have like a cute look to them do that. If you get it for yourself, I think it's $850, but we're really lucky that we have this job because of sweet people like you. So we got to do an ad for it. I'm excited. It is expensive, but depending on how fast your kid grows, like they can use it till they're like 5, you know? So, and maybe not, all kids are different, so we'll see. But I really like it. I really like the mattress a lot. It's like firm on one side for when they're like smaller, and then you flip it to the other side and it's softer for once they can have like a soft bed, because if you didn't know, like really tiny babies, there's like very specific sleeping conditions they're supposed to be in. We have a lot of sheets. We got some of them from Nestig, but most of them we get from like Once Upon a Child, like still in the package. I'm telling you, thrift as much baby stuff as you can. There is so much stuff out there. It's unbelievable. It's honestly bananas. So if you are pregnant or thinking of becoming pregnant or plan on getting pregnant in the next 3 years, just start looking now. Not necessarily things like formula or diapers, because people who need those things right now should have them. But like the bookshelf, we bought that before we knew we were pregnant. If I saw this on Marketplace, I would have bought it instantly.
We also got this incredible lowly worm rug when we did the Nestig collab. I am so obsessed with it. Every time I come in here and I see it, it makes me smile, along with the entire room, obviously. It is so cute. It's a really good quality rug. Now, I do think it's like $300. I would not buy it for $300. But it is really cute. I didn't talk about this footstool, but we use it to push on to rock. We thrifted it. It was like $10, and it was accidentally perfect. It was already gingham and red. Lastly, two of many things that are not perfect. We do have just like masking tape held up this cord for our baby monitor. We're gonna get more aesthetically pleasing tape, but I don't want to. I don't want to spend money on it, and this doesn't bother me. It's fine. Secondly, I just started putting the shelf up yesterday so that the Alexa, it was sitting literally just on the diaper pail down there, and it just kept falling off all the time. So I was like, I need a corner shelf. Anyway, so you can kind of tell it's like leaning towards us. It's because I got halfway done putting it up, and then it was time for nap, and so I haven't finished putting it up. So I know it looks unsafe. I'm going to fix it tomorrow. Don't be scared. Felix is feeding dinner to the baby. This nursery is a super long time dream of mine come true for many reasons. Obviously, like I have always wanted to be a mom, so even just having our baby here after like years of infertility, after doing so much to bring him here, after like, you know, going through pregnancy and everything, that is like a dream way bigger than I can ever imagine. But also, like, I have wanted a Toy Story themed nursery for my kids since I was a kid when like Toy Story 2 came out. I have always loved Toy Story. When I was a kid, I had a Jessie doll that I took like everywhere. I also feel like, as I said earlier, what's really nice about having like an Andy's room theme is like the theme of his bedroom is like children's bedroom. You can kind of make anything work. So like when Lemon gifted us the pencil, it worked perfectly. We have that perfect pencil bookshelf that we'll put in here later as like he gets a little bit older. It's like a little wobbly, so I don't want it in here while he might climb on it. We have so many books because sweetpeas sent us books, and then we've been thrifting books for years. There's just like, every time I'm in this room, I feel like I'm so surrounded by not only the love of like sweet people like you who watch the video, and also the love of my husband and the love of my family and my baby, but also just like the embodiment of a dream coming true. And I hope that's how everyone feels in some room of their house. It could be your baby's nursery, but it could also be your room. It could be your craft room. It could just be like your perfectly organized closet. I love having a space that I have dreamed about having for so long, that is so perfectly executed, that continues to bring a smile to my face, even as we continue to modify it as our child grows. Thank you so much for watching this video. If it's your first time here, once again, my name is Morgan. My husband's name is Felix. We are a queer family who vlogs. We do a lot of DIY. We do a lot of yapping. We do a lot of just like day in the life kind of vlogs. We're also very honest influencers who talk about what it's really like, but we don't show our baby. We don't talk about him constantly. The vlogs are not about him. You can hear him often because he lives here and we work here. You know, he's our co-worker, but he's very shy and you won't be getting to know him. If you'd like to see us other places, we are literally everywhere. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on Patreon if you'd like to support us over there. We also have a Ko-fi. We have a Tumblr. We're on Lemonade. We have a Pinterest. We're kind of trying to get into being Pinterest people. I'm so glad you're here. I hope you stick around. Please, I'd love for you to subscribe, like, leave a little comment about the kind of nursery would be your dream nursery, or if you're planning on redoing a bedroom in your house. The world is really scary right now, but you're very lovely. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you go out there and do something silly goofy, and I hope you have a great week. Okay. See you next time. I love you, sweet peas. If he yells, we try to be quiet and then say what we said.
Yeah.
But yeah. Is life ever done?
Well, yeah.
May we always continue creating.
Okay. Here we have the door. Am I in focus?
Yeah.
You're focused in?
Yeah.
You can see me?
I can.
Oh, is this stupid?
No.
Oh, okay. You're just looking at me like this.
No, yeah, because I love you.
Oh, okay.
I would get one.
Yeah, da.
I would have bought one anyway. My only complaint about these is that they're not in order. So I feel like it's a little confusing, but they're almost in order, which I feel is even more confusing.
The pieces of art.
The alphabet.
The alphabet's insane.
Yeah, I feel like it's really a weird choice.
Will you say the whole sentence over? Because it seems like you were saying the hungry caterpillar's not in order.
Yeah. We put them on top of these framed like pieces of art that we actually got from...
That's what I'm saying. Don't do that part at all. You already did that part. That was great.
Then where do you want me to start?
With them being out of order.
Oh. My only complaint about them, and it's a very small complaint, is that they're of the alphabet, but they're not like in alphabetical order.
Okay, let me say again.
Okay.
Your complaint about the alphabet. But what you had said, hold on. Okay.
My only complaint about the lowly worm alphabet art is that...
Okay, sorry.
See that he's shaking the
Yeah,
camera.
he's decided to shake it.
Which when you have queen... When you have queen...
When there's queen.
There's queen. You're familiar with the queen.
You're all over the queen. It is very... It is